It may be and it may not. It's being recorded. Okay, here we go. So let's start as a recap of where we were last week. We're going over, in Moses and Exodus and things like that. As we were ending last week, we were talking about Moses and that he saw the need for his people, right? He was in his chariot, in his palace, in his kingdom. He saw the need for his people. He stepped out of the chariot. We're over there in Exodus 2. He went and intervened for them, right? And what did he do to the Egyptian? He went over there and he killed the Egyptian. He took him out. That was in his own, in his own flesh, and let his flesh get a hold of him, and did what he thought he needed to do. He went back after that the second time, the next day, and he saw the Hebrews fighting, and he said, hey, what are you guys doing? How can I judge this? What can I do? How can I help you? And they said, what are you going to do? You're going to be a prince and a judge over us. And he started to think, and I was thinking about, were Moses' intentions positive? I mean, did he want to do the right thing when he stepped down to do that? Yeah, he wanted to do the right thing, man. He wanted to, in his mind, he wanted to deliver his brothers from bondage and from captivity. He wanted to get them out of there, right? Did he do it appropriately and in the right way? I don't know as though he did. He let his flesh get a hold of him. Anybody that knows me, I do certain things, I say certain things, I act certain ways, and then all of a sudden, I don't think about the consequences. Before you know it, I'm in the middle of it. I've done something, I've said something that I shouldn't have done, and then I'm like, good night, man. I had the right intention, but here I am and not doing the right thing. And that's kind of Moses. He was not concerned with the consequences, or he didn't really think about the consequences, right? He cared about the people, his people, so much that he just wanted to do the right thing for him. And my thought that came to me was, do I care about people? Do I care about people that I'm willing to do the right thing, or I'm willing to do what I think needs to be done to help them out, regardless of the consequences? He was stepping out of the palace, he was stepping out of the throne, he was going to nothing, right? But he did not really care. I think a lot of times we do the things that we do, we don't do what we should do because we're concerned about, well, I'm going to have a financial loss on this, or I'm going to have people are going to look at me differently, or people are going to judge me differently. So I'm just going to keep in my corner and I'm going to do my thing, and I'm not going to, and that's not the way we need to be. Now, did he do it appropriately and exactly right? No, but he had the right intent on his heart, right? And I'm just, as we move forward, is the intent on our heart to care for people? I mean, we got hurting people. We've got hurting people. We need to be directed by what the Lord would have us to do, to reach out and help those people, right? I mean, that's just what it is. He's quick-tempered, he's passionate, but that was okay. But what he quickly realized, it wasn't just a problem with the Egyptians, right? The Egyptians were keeping God's people down and abusing them and hammering them, but it was also the problem that they had with each other. They were arguing with each other. I mean, it said that, and he tried to intervene on that and step in, and as we look at our life and we look at dealing with, we have enough problems, and I can't say this enough, we have enough problems with the world, with people that are not Christians, man. They are fighting with us. They are fighting against us. They are hammering us. We do not need to fight with each other, right? We need to bond together, man. We need to come out and love each other, man. If I see a need over here, then I need to respond to that need. And I need to, we talked about last week that it's a physical response. It's like, I'm giving water to somebody who's thirsty, man. I'm giving food to somebody who's hungry. I'm giving a blanket to somebody that's cold. I'm stepping out to a prison cell to somebody that's lonely, right? And I'm literally going out and doing what I can do. And that's what we need to do. Go ahead.
I think our human flesh is, I want to judge and make sure it's used for the right thing.
Right.
And I can't do that. I can't, if I feel it on my heart and the Lord leads me to give something to somebody on the street, that's asking for food.
Right.
If I feel the tug to do that, I can't judge that they're selling it or whatever, right, to do for something else. And that was a struggle I had for a long time of are they using it for, I want to make sure it's not up to me to judge, right, worry about.
And that's the same thing and we're not on tithing and stuff like that, but that's the same thing to giving to God's kingdom, man. I give it, and once I give it, it's gone, man. And I'm trusting that God is going to use what I am giving for his glory, right? And that's what we need to step out. We need to be active people. And if there's anything, as I look back at this celebration Sunday that we're getting ready to go into, and that is looking back on the last year on what is it that we have done? Have we done anything for the Lord? Have we made a change at all? So that's where Moses is. He had the right intent. He did the wrong thing, the kind of the wrong direction of that. So as we get, yes.
I was presented an opportunity at work. This lady came into the community center on Wednesday, and she shared with us that she had just gotten out of the domestic violence situation.
Right.
She is in active addiction. She had asked about the recovery, about Safe Harbor, and we were able to share our story somewhat. Well, yesterday, two ladies approached me at that resource, and they said, there's a lady and she's stealing. We've seen her footsteps in purses and bags. We just want to make you aware of it. And they described her. And so I went to let management know, and I came back out and I saw that there's a woman. And she immediately dropped the shoes. And she walked up to me. And Kip, I'm so grateful for people like you, because 10 months ago, I was that homeless person, and I was the person that somebody said, here, let me take you and get you something to eat.
Right. We need to actively reach out and help.
But because of where I was 10 months ago,
right,
I was able to look at her and say, I've been where you are, and when you're tired, because she had new bruises, like we say, she had a bruise. Well, this time her other eye. And I said, when you're tired of getting beat, when you're tired of using, when you finally get to that
when
place,
you get to that low,
reach out to us because we'll be there. And I said, what do you need? And she said, I want some money. And I said, no, because you're going to take it to you. And I'm not judging you. I've been there. But what I will do, have you eaten today? So I was able to go get her some water. I gave her my lunch. But God put me in that situation, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, we need to.
For my past,
right. So
that I can.
We need to literally be the hands and the feet. I mean, that is what we literally need to be. Like he said, it doesn't do anybody any good if you say, I'm hungry, and you offer them a rock and say, well, or I'm offering just to pray for you, man. Do what you're supposed to do in that. So. Oh yeah, and as you do that, the Lord really look. I can gain everything. I can have a big house and a lot of money and be empty as everything inside, and that does not fulfill me. We try to get more, and we try to get more. So you got Moses right here, and so Moses is we're over here in Exodus 2, and next week we're going to have where you're going to be able to hear better on the people on the computer are going to be able to hear better on the people in the room, and we're kind of modifying that. So we're in a working progress here. But as you look at this, Moses, it says in Exodus 2, and you're in verse 14, it says, after the Hebrews said, are you going to be a judge and a priest over us? Are you going to? And he said, I guess the people, it says Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. And it says in verse 15, when Pharaoh heard of this matter, he sought to kill Moses, right? And Moses fled. And it said from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. So what do you, and what I'm looking here as I'm thinking about Moses, right? Moses was, he was a special child, man. He was God's child. He was brought up and delivered, and he was in his place, and he thought he was doing what God would have him to do. And he thought that he was doing the right thing. And all of a sudden he's out there, and Pharaoh was fired up. Pharaoh's looking to kill him. Pharaoh's allegiance to him, even though it's his son-in-law, right? Pharaoh's allegiance to him is like, look, man, my people are first, and you're not going to do that. And I'm after you. And so Moses takes off, and he's on the run. Do you think that he was, as he's sitting by this well in a refugee town, do you think that he's humbled by his situation? Because he was pretty high and mighty, right? Yeah. And he was saying, well, I can do, and are we in that situation where we think that, hey, I'm a bigwig and I can do, we can get humbled very quickly, right? And I put down here, defeated and questioning what God's purpose was for his life. I have I think that God is speaking to me to do certain things. And when that doesn't work out, and I'm trying to do God's work and I'm trying to do what he called me to do. And I feel like I need to do, whatever. And all of a sudden I get shut down on that. And all of a sudden that door closes. And all of a sudden I see the world and the Lord tells us, you're going to have trials. You're going to have tribulations. You're going to have things come against you. The devil hates us. Every step we take for God is going to be against the devil. And he's going to hate us in that, right? He's going to try to defeat us in that. You got to think that Moses is questioning God, saying, I'm trying to do what you would have me to do. Why am I sitting here in a refugee town being pursued and being sought to be killed when I'm trying to do your work? And the thing that I thought to myself was, is it okay to question God's purpose in your life? It's okay, right? As long as God wants, it's a relationship, right? And just like with my wife and whoever, she can say something and I might not understand that, and I might question what's going on, but that is not a questioning in that I am disrespecting or I'm doubting or it is a questioning like, God, I don't understand what you're doing for me. And that's where Moses was in that thing. We are always, in a relationship, we have to question what's going on and where I'm going in that.
We don't know God's plan.
We don't know God's plan.
It's perfect in his eyes.
You're right.
For us, it's
You're exactly right. And I think about, and I said last week, as you look at David and Saul, right? David's the king, or David is the anointed king from the Lord. Saul is the active king, right? The Lord said, you're going to be the king, man. They came and they anointed him. All of a sudden, David goes out and kills Goliath. Did he kill Goliath for the Lord? Yeah, he said, look, you're not going to talk bad about my God. You're not going to sit here and make us be, on the back burner and shaking in our boots. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to take you out and I'm going to do it in the name of my God. And I'm going to go out and do it. Right. He goes out and does that. What happens from the consequence of that? All of a sudden his name gets lifted up. Then people are saying, oh, David killed this many and Saul only killed this many, and Saul gets fired up. And all of a sudden Saul says, wait a minute, man, you're getting more glory than I am. And I'm going to actively pursue you to kill you. And David goes on the run for an extended period of time. Right. And yeah, and questioning God, you called me to do this. Why am I on the run for my life? And maybe we are there right now. Maybe, God's called us and he's saying, I want you to do this. And I'm trying to do it, Lord, but I've got the world pursuing me. I've got the devil pursuing me. I can't buckle down and get it. So he is sitting there down by the well, sitting down, questioning, meandering, thinking, trying to figure out what God's plan is for his life, right? This is not what his plan was. His plan was, I'm going to deliver the Israelites. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to get them out of Egypt. God said, yeah, maybe that's a plan, but not exactly the way you have it set in your mind. So I want to move forward because I think this is an interesting point right here. It says, so as he is sitting and reflecting and just worn out and wondering what God's plan is for his life, it says, now the priest of Midian, this is Exodus 2:16. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and they drew water and they filled the troughs with water to water their father's flock. Okay, so he's over in a refugee town. These are probably his descendants or maybe his relatives. I don't know who they exactly are, but these 7 girls come to this well. They want to water their flock, just do what they do every day on an everyday basis. You have Moses sitting down by the well, questioning, contemplating, worn out, fatigued, doesn't know where he's going, doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know what God's plan is in his life, right? So all of a sudden these girls come, and it says, then the shepherds came and drove them away. Okay. So these girls come to water their flock, and all these shepherds are there saying, not today, you're not watering your flock. You can hit the road because we've got to water our flock. Okay. So what does Moses do? It says that Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. So the Lord we may have a plan in our life that I want to deliver Israel. I want to deliver the Hebrews. I want to do this big thing for the Lord, right? I want to do something big for the Lord. God says, no, your time is not right now. That's not what I have for you right now. Does that mean he doesn't have anything for me to do? No, God always has something for me to do. All of a sudden, these girls come and they're just common girls, man. They're just there watering their flock, doing their everyday thing. Moses sees the need and he says, not today. You're not, these girls, I may not be able to deliver Israel and deliver the Hebrews, but I'll tell you what, I can help these 7 girls and I can help them do what they need to do. And he stands up and he says, not today. And he waters the flock. And as you look down a little further, it says, and when they came to rule, and he says that they watered their flock. And as you get down in verse 18 right here, it says, when they came to rule their father and said, how is that you have come so soon today? This was an ongoing problem. These girls couldn't water their flock. They had to wait, and they were put at the bottom of the barrel, and they just did it when they could. It says, why have you come so soon today? Right. And he says, and they said, an Egyptian. Now, why would they call him an Egyptian? They didn't know he was a Hebrew, right? He was in his Egyptian garb. He was still probably in the highfalutin wardrobe, because he stepped out of his chariot and was doing. He was a prince, man, right? And he's still sitting there, and they're like, this Egyptian delivered us from the hand of the shepherds, and he also drew enough water for us and watered the flock. And it says, so he said to his daughters, and where is he? And why is it that you have left the man? Call him that he may eat bread with us. And he said, well, where is this guy that stepped up and did that? That was the purpose. And when I looked at my notes, God's timing, not our timing. God has everything. And I can't say this enough. And I'm probably going to say it today out there too, man. I am one little puzzle piece. I'm telling you. And we are in a world of, now you think about I think about a 500-piece puzzle. I look at that mug and I think, I can't put this together. I can't get one piece together, man. I might be able to do a couple edges, right? I'm that one puzzle. Well, how many pieces is God putting together? Millions and millions and millions. And he sees the big picture, right? He sees my little life, my little puzzle piece. And he says, Chad, you go right here. And when I put you right here where you go, I've got this other piece of kip that is going to attach onto you, and it's going to fit here. And I've got Jeremy that's going to attach onto you. And I've got, and that's what he does, man. And he sees the picture, and I've got to take my place in that puzzle. And my puzzle, I may think my place is over here on this piece. He said, no, that's not where the pieces fit. You fit right here. And I want you to be right here. So this was the time God is preparing Moses for a future. He's preparing Moses to do a bigger picture.
And amazing.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
You have, the plan. You think you got something set. This way it's going to be, and then by that time, bam, God says, no, this is way. I'm pointing this way.
That's right.
And that's when we do that. That's when we do go sit by that well and woe is me. Why is this happening? Whatever. But seeing God, I think of the movie The Shack. When he's roaming through the forest and it looks like it's just a big mess. And Lord, why is my life a mess? And then it does the overhead shots, and it's all a beautiful picture, a big painting, beautiful, everything was perfect. And I think about that a lot, is that, when something doesn't go the way I want it to
That's
go,
right.
I want it to go my way.
Because it's not about you, man. It's not about me, man. You can look at, you're in a maze, these hedge mazes or these huge mazes, man. I'm looking straight forward, and I see a bush, man. I'm like, man, I can't get through that, but I see a way there. And God looks at the top of it, and he sees exactly the path that is planned out for us, right? If we go in our understanding will lead me right into the woods in the gutter every time, I'm telling you. So, I mean, that's the truth, man. That's where I'm at. So I look over at Jeremiah 29:11 on the same deal is does God have a plan for my life? And what it says over in 29:11, it says, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord. He knows what he's thinking towards me. The Lord knew me before the foundation of the world, man. He knew who I was. He knew the plan that he had for me. He says, I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. God has a plan for our life. We've just got to fit into what he tells us the plan is. And you look over here at John 15, and I'm going to look here and then we'll move forward. But I can't tell you enough that, as Moses is sitting here, maybe it doesn't look like the plan that he has for himself. It's not the big picture that he foresees for himself, but it is that small piece. And we do not know. And I'm telling you, when I witness to somebody on the street, when I give somebody $1, when I go out here and help somebody, we don't know when we get to heaven one day and we see the pieces, how they fit together. And the Lord said, and I've thought about this many times, and as I'm in heaven and the Lord says, you see so-and-so over here, and you see so-and-so, he's here because of you. And what do you mean he's here? Because of the word that you gave him, you began him looking towards me, and look at all the people that one influenced for me. And look at all the one, we are the piece in the puzzle, right? That God needs to use. And I'm telling you, if anything we can do in this next year as we move forward is we can be the piece that God needs us to be, right? We can be that piece. And it says over here, John 15, verse 16, as we read it, it says, you did not choose me, but I chose you, right? This is the Lord. You didn't choose me, I chose you. And he says, and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatever you ask in my Father's name, he may give you the things that I command you. You may love one another. God is saying, look, I chose you, and I chose you for a reason, and I chose you to bear fruit, and I chose you to do something for me. So get out of your own head and get out of your own place and get out of your own, it's all about me attitude, because it's not about you. Finding our purpose where God has us. I can't say it enough. Finding our purpose where God has us. He has us here for a reason. I don't care if we are in the refugee house. I don't care if I'm in the mansion down the street. I don't care if I'm out here and just flailing around. God has me there for a purpose, right? And that's Moses. He is there for a purpose because God has a bigger plan for him. So moving forward in Midian, he's there. And look what it says. And this is another good point that I want to talk about. And it's awesome how the Lord does what the Lord does. It says, when they came to rule their father, this is verse 18, Exodus 2:18. It says, when they came to rule their father, he said, how is it that you have come so soon today? And they said, the Egyptian delivered us from the hand of the shepherds. He also drew enough water for us in the flock. And he said to his daughters, where is he? Why is it that you have left the man? Call him that he may eat bread with us. Okay, call him over. I want to see who he is. This guy that helped you, delivered you. I want to see. And so he says, okay, he calls him over. And it says, then Moses was content to live with the man, and he gave Zipporah his daughter to Moses. She bore him a son. He called his name Gershon, for he said, I've been a stranger in a foreign land. So as Moses delivered these girls, right, he couldn't deliver Israel and he couldn't deliver the Hebrews, and he's on the run. He's in a refugee town and sitting by the well. These girls say, come, and he lifts them up. He delivers them. Their father says, where is this guy, man? Bring him over to the house. So long story short, he marries one of them, right? He becomes part of that family. Moses, what does it say about Moses right here? Moses was content to live with them. So my question to us is, am I content where God has placed me? Now that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question, okay? And I'm going to be honest with you, because I do not need to be content staying stagnant and not doing anything for God. But I do, because you come complacent. What is the theme of the church right here that we're in? Of discovery. We are a river, we are not a pond. A river is flowing, a river is moving, a river is doing something. A pond is a stagnant, small body of water with algae and mud and muck and sucker fish on the bottom of it that are doing big catfish in there that aren't doing anything.
Think of the cloud as Jesus never stayed in one place. He was constantly moving. So
Jesus was constantly moving.
And if you look at the cloud, does the cloud stay in one place? It's constantly moving.
Constantly moving, constantly doing different things. Yep.
Well, we have to have that relationship with the Lord and be, praying and to see the Lord. If we're not doing that, we're not seeing the Lord move, and we're missing things. We're missing those opportunities to glorify Him even more, or follow the plan. And He puts it in front of us. It's up to us to see it. And I'm dumb to that. I sometimes I've communicated. I talk to the Lord. I talk to Him like I'm talking right now. Look, you know me. Sometimes you got to put that big blinking arrow at me.
Yes.
Look, dummy, do this, because I miss it sometimes.
Oh yeah. And doing what God would have us to do, it's a relationship that we have with Him. And if we're not in the relationship, it's like, am I going to know what Sharon wants me to do if I'm not listed? Like, for instance, yesterday, we're down and we're visiting and we're, dipping around. And so Sharon's saying, I'm not paying attention to her. That's just me, man. I'm listening, but I'm not listening, right? She tells me to go out to the car and I get her hair bow and get her a coat. I said, okay. So I head out to the car, man. I get out to the car and I'm like, what am I even out at the car for? And I'm looking around the car and I'm thinking, I can't go back in there and ask my wife why I'm out at the car, because I told her, okay, honey, I'll go get that. No more listening to her than anything. So I don't know what her needs are, what she wants in my life, or what my purpose is right there, right? It's an active relationship with the Lord that we know what he's doing, and we're speaking with him, and we can hear what he's saying to us, right? And this is as Moses is sitting there and standing up and getting in with the Midianites over there in the shepherds. Yes, he is literally getting content, moving, doing what God would have him to do. And I want to read over here Philippians 4. Let's read in Philippians 4, because this is, do we know who Paul is? Do we know who Paul is? Did Paul have an easy life?
No.
What was Paul's calling initially? Was persecuting Christians. Right? I'm out and I'm going to drag them in. I'm going to kill them. I'm going to put them in prison. He felt like that's what God was calling him to do, right? God shut him down on the Damascus road and said, Paul, I'm going to tell you what, man, this is not the plan that I have for your life. Blinded him, right? Set him in and showed him what to do. Paul, from that point, went from being a leader, being wealthy, having everything that he needed, having the support of the government, to being an outlaw, to doing what God would have him to do, right? Took a backseat, stepped out. He went through persecution, right? He went through stonings. He went through shipwrecks. He went through famine. He went through, right? But he was doing what God was calling him to do, right? And over here in Philippians, when you're talking about contentment, I ask the question, are we content to do what God has called us to do where we're at right now? That's going to change, because we're a river, not a pond. We're going to, as we follow God, we're going to do more of what he would have us to do, or we're going to do different things as he directs us to different things, or open up different doors. Philippians 4:11 right here. And it says, let me get to it. Philippians 4:11 through 15. And it says, now, not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned whatever state I am in to be content. What is that saying? He's saying, I'm not speaking out of need, even though I have a lot of needs. I'm learning that whatever state I'm in, wherever God puts me in that day, in that moment, I need to be content in what God is doing in my life. We live in a society, and tell me if I'm wrong, we live in a society, I am never content. I always want something more. I always want what is it, John?
The other day I was told, the best way to take yourself off of self is put yourself into somebody else.
Yes.
And then you forget about self and you begin to help others, and then you heal from within, whatever it may be that somebody else is going through, right, is healing you at the same time. If you just forget about John and just focus on other people.
And society tells us.
Oh, it's all about self.
Society tells us you have to have more. I mean, social media and everything.
Man, you want that big screen TV and you only got $5 in your checking account? Well, go get that big screen TV. You deserve that thing, and the devil will tell you that, man. That is not being content in where we're at. And what John was saying, intentionally inserting yourself into other people's lives. We had a girl that we through Campus Crusade for Christ, and somebody that we support, and she said that she literally, when she goes on the campus, she finds somebody, intentionally inserts herself into their life, intentionally does things to put herself in there. So for the very purpose that she can lead them to the Lord, the very purpose that she can show them Christ in their life. Contentment. It says Philippians 4:11, it says, not that I speak in regard to need, I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. Now it says, I know how to be abased. And I wrote down, abased is degraded. I know how to be cut down. I know how to be talked about. I know how to be, defamed, right? You ever been there? Have you ever had somebody talk about you and tell you whatever, and tell you you're worthless, man. The devil, if anything else, he'll tell you you're no good, man. You'll never make it. You're worthless. You're not worthy, man. Why are you even trying, right? He says, I've learned to be debased. And it says, I know how to abound. That's abound. I know how to be lifted up, man. I know how to be in the spotlight. I know how to do whatever God has called me to do there. It says, everywhere and in all things I have learned to both be full and to be hungry. That is putting my life in a position that says, Lord, I'm here to be used however you want to use me, right? I'm willing to be used. Does that take me out of my comfort zone? Does it take, when I talked to the Lord and told him, Lord, I want you to expand my territory, right? Do I want to get up here and speak in front of people today, even though it's a 5-minute thing? But no, man, I don't want to. But I said, Lord, I asked you to do something in my life. I'm not the judge on how that goes, man. I'm not the one that determines how that goes. What you want me to do, that is what I'm going to do. That's not easy. I don't know here. I don't know online. I don't know what God's calling you to do, but you got to do something, right? We've got to do something. And it's just on my heart, man, that listen, we have sat back and we have taken it for so long, man, that we need to step up and and I don't care where it is, what it is. And it doesn't have to be the big time thing, man. It's just stepping up in your family, stepping up in your work, stepping up with your friends, being an example for Christ, right? And it says that he learned that whatever it is, to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. And he says in Philippians 4:13, and this is a verse we know, it says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can't do it through myself. Moses sitting there could not do what he did through himself. You cannot do what it is that God has called you to do through yourself. Through Christ in my life, through that active relationship with Christ in my life, I can do all things. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if I look at it and say, God, there is no way that I can do that. The Lord says, look, you don't worry about what I'm telling you to do. If I give you the goal and the input and the desire to do it, then I'm telling you what, I have the resources that can allow you to accomplish the task at hand. And that's Moses, right? And as he's sitting there learning to be content in where he's at, he's saying, this is not the life that I had planned for myself out here in the desert, feeding sheep, herding sheep. Going, I want some more glory than that, man. I don't want to be doing that. And the Lord's like, look, man, just hold on. You just hold on, because I've got something more for you, right? And that's where we're at in our life. And I just, even if it's not it being what we envisioned, it's what God has planned for us in our life. And we need to do what he has planned, and it may not look what we need to do. So as you're moving forward right here, he is out there. Do we know how many years was Moses with his biological mother? We said about 3 years, right? How long was Moses with his family over there with the Egyptians? About 37 years, something like that. You never know. That's a give or take, right? So now, how long is it that Moses is going to be in the wilderness, the desert, out there with these people? How long in Midian? How long is he going to be out there now?
As long as it takes.
As long as it takes, but we know about 40 years.
Because he never got to enter.
That's a long time coming forward, but yes, you're right. But 40 years, this is 40 years with the Midianites, right? He's over there doing his thing over there. And, what are those years? What are those years? Those are waiting years for him, right? What is the point of those? I just want to remind you, Joseph was a slave for what? 13 years, right? Joseph was a slave for 13 years before he was elevated to the position that he could do something, right? I have Paul right here. When he got saved, he went on a 3-year hiatus that we don't know. He didn't go to you can read that over Galatians 1:16. He went on a 3-year hiatus when he went to be with the Lord, just to hear what God had to say for him, just to speak to him and to get what he did. We don't know how long it is that the Lord has us in a place. We may be here for a day. We might be here for a year. We may be here for 10 years as the Lord is preparing us to do the next thing that he has for us to do, right? Those are the waiting years. What am I doing in those waiting years? You talk about the river, not a pond. Is that a waiting year where I'm just sitting and well, poor me, and I guess Lord's never going to use me, and I am thriving where I am at. That's what I am seeking God. I am learning. I am building my relationship. so that I can do the next stage in my life, right? Because when I'm waiting here, waiting, nothing's happening, nothing, but the Lord is using me. He's teaching me. Whatever it is he's teaching me. All of a sudden he says, Chad, I want you to step up, and next Sunday I want you to speak in front of the church. What? I'm not ready for that. Well, if you were ready in the waiting years, if you were seeking him in the times when you weren't in front of the spotlight, then you'll be ready, right? As Moses is over there, man, he is searching God. He is seeking God. He is saying, God, what is the next step? When it comes up, I'm going to be ready to take it, right? We pray about, Lord, give me somebody to witness to. Lord, tell me today. I pray in the morning time. Lord, today, give me somebody I can encourage, somebody I can witness to, somebody I can reach out to in your name, right? I'm going through my day. I'm not paying attention to what God has for me. I'm just dipping around doing my thing. All of a sudden, somebody's there, and the Lord says, that's the one right there, Chad. I want you to go witness to. I said, whoa. I wasn't saying I want to witness right now. I was saying maybe later on today, or maybe after and when it's convenient for me, when I want to do what it is. And the Lord says, no, man, now you've been praying about this. I've been preparing you. Now's the time. Today is the day, right? Today is the day, not tomorrow, not in an hour, not when God calls us to do something. Today is the day.
And it's not always necessarily something that you have to say.
No,
it's somebody's always watching you.
Somebody's always watching. Yes. Yes, you are.
And everything that you do.
And that is the problem. He said that we're a walking witness, in our actions and the things that we do. And, kind of like we talked about with Randy the other day over there at Harbor Freight, man, I'm already frustrated. And that mug's calling me on the phone and calling me. I'm like, what is he doing? And he's looking at me in the store, looking at me, watching how I'm going to react, man, trying to fire me off, man. People are always watching what you're doing, right? That's where, God is preparing us. And are we ready to do what he has called us to do when the time comes? You don't know when the time's going to come. It may be right now. It may be today. It may be in a year. I don't know, but are we ready to step up? And I want to read over here in Isaiah. Let's turn over there to Isaiah chapter 6. Okay. And I'm going to read through this because this is where we need to be, right? God can't use us if we are not ready to be used. So when I'm in my waiting periods, I need to be staying clean, right? I need to be doing what God would have me to do. I need to be focusing on him. I need to be praying. I need to be reading. I need to be studying. I need to be the witness I need to be. That's not a time for me to just flail around and do whatever I want to do, because then when the time comes, I'm not ready, right? So you look over here in Isaiah 6, and this is Isaiah, and this is when he's called to be a prophet, okay? And I'm going to read through a little bit of this. It says, this is Isaiah 6:1, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting high on a throne, high and lifted up. The train of his robe filled the temple. Above it stood a seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. 2 covered their face, with 2 covered their feet. And the 2 he flew, and one cried to another, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the posts of the door were shaken by the voice of him who cried out, and the house was filled with smoke. So I said, woe is me, for I'm undone. This is as Isaiah is getting called. He is realizing, as he sees the Lord high and lifted up right there, he's saying, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to do what God has called me to do. Do I get my worthiness out of myself? Can I make myself worthy? You cannot do it, right? The only way that I'm ever going to be worthy and able to be used by the Lord is to confess what I'm going through, confess the things in my life, confess where I'm wrong, ask forgiveness for when I fail, right? And that is what makes me, the Lord makes me worthy. It is not me. I can't go live a better life, right? I can't just give more money. It is God working through me to make me worthy. And this is where Isaiah is. He looks at the Lord and he says, I'm undone, man. It's down here in Isaiah 6. And it says, woe is me, for I am undone. That's in verse 5. Because I'm a man of unclean lips, right? He's saying, I haven't said the things that I should say, and my lips are unclean. And he says, I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. I'm amongst a people that are unclean, right? And it says, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. And it says, then one of the seraphims flew to me, having in his hand a live coal, which he had taken with tongs from the altar. And he touched my mouth with it, right? Where did he touch him? He touched his mouth with it. Where was he unclean? His lips. He said, look, You can't get that right unless the Lord touches that. Whatever it is in our life that is unclean and that the devil or the enemy is using in our life, whether it's that computer and he says, look, man, turn the power off on that thing, whether it's social media and he says, get off of that account, or whatever it is, wherever it is, we need to deal with that specific thing in our life. We all have different things, right? You know, God deals with me on anger issues, and maybe not anger, but just being fired up, man, right? Getting, you know, whatever it is. And it says, so he touched his lips with that thing, right? And he made that, he took that away. And it says that when he flew to him having in his hand a live coal, which he had taken with the tongs from the altar, he touched my mouth with it. And he said, behold, that this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is taken away. Your sin is purged. He's saying, now you're prepared to do what God would have you to do. As we are in our waiting period, as we're in our thing in our life, as we are praying, as our relationship, as we are confessing, as we are asking for forgiveness, as we are giving things up in our life, God is saying, now you are made clean through my blood, that you can be used to do whatever it is that needs to be done, right? And it goes down, and so this is the call right here, and this is the call in our life. It says, and I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who shall go for us? That's the Lord speaking. He's saying, I've got all didn't Isaiah just say, I'm in a land of just unclean people, unworthy people, people that need to hear the gospel, people that need to hear something. And the Lord saying, you know, who is it that I shall send, and who's going to go for me, right? And that's what he's saying to us. He's saying, who is it that I can send? Who is it today that can answer that call? Who is it today that can do what I want you to do to glorify me? That's what he's asking, right? And I'm the one either that is sitting on the back burner and saying, not me, Lord, don't send me, man. You know, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm sitting right here. I've got it pretty good where I'm sitting right here. And I know if I get out there in that world, man, that things they're going to tear me up, and it's going to be tough on me, and the enemy's going to come against me. And I don't send me, Lord. Is that our position? Or am I the one that is like Isaiah right here? Isaiah says, then I said, here I am, send me, right? That's an awesome say. And he said, go and tell the people. He said, okay, you want it? You got it, man. Here I am, send me. That's where we're at right now, right? That's where Moses is. He's out there in the desert. He's out there tending to the sheep, right? He is a shepherd. He's becoming he's becoming a shepherd, because what? We are what? God's sheep. That's what we are. We're a bunch of knucklehead sheep. You ever heard about what a sheep is? Sheep can't do anything on its own. Sheep will walk off a cliff. If another sheep's walking over there that way and falls off the cliff, a sheep is such a follower, it'll walk off the same cliff, and another one walk off the same cliff. And that's just like us, man. If we don't have a shepherd, who is our shepherd? The Lord is our shepherd. If we don't have that, I will go out there and walk in the middle of a highway, and I'm as dumb as a rock, right? I mean, really, we need a shepherd. This is Moses getting prepared, getting his relationship, getting his life right, getting his attitude. He was trained in Egypt to be a high authority, right? He was trained to be somebody. Now the Lord is training him in the desert, in the wilderness, to be a nobody, right? Because a nobody God can use. God can't use me if I think I'm a somebody. Does that make sense? God can't use me. And if I have the answers and I know what I need to do, and I know God can't use, it's when I get to the lowest point and I say, Lord, I can't go anywhere else, man. I've got nothing else. All I have is you. God says, that's exactly where I want you, because that's exactly where I can use you. Right. And now, Moses, now you've got this. Now I'm going to start to use you. Now I'm going to do. So, and we don't have time because I got to end early, which this would be a good section for starting next week. Okay. And I'm going to read it to you, and we'll just kind of give a little intro to it, a little, because we've got a bunch of people that are out doing this celebration Sunday and all that. But it says, now it happened. Okay. So you're down to verse 23, Exodus 2:23. Now it happened in the process of time. Now that process of time is 40 years, right? That isn't a day, man. Moses hadn't been out there tending to these sheep and tending to the flock for a day. He's been out there 40 years thinking, God, I can't wait a week when I ask the Lord to do something in my life, right? I can't wait a week for God to do something. I'm like, Lord, are you going to ever do anything? Lord, are you going to ever answer this prayer? Lord, are you ever going to take care? We look at our kids, right? And we say, Lord, are you ever going to deal with them, man? Are you ever going to get them on track? Are you ever going to, I look at my wife, man, you going to get her back on track, man, where she needs to be, right? No, I can't say that. My wife's a great wife, but I can't wait a day. He's out there 40 years getting prepared. And it says now after a short period of time, no, it happened in the process of time. Okay. It said that the king of Egypt died. Then the children of Israel groaned because of their bondage and they cried out. Listen, I ask you, we can be in one of two positions. Okay. We can either be Moses, who has been out there tending sheep, relationship with the Lord, trying to grow and trying to do what God would have him do. Or we have these Hebrew children. You think, I don't know if Moses forgot about them or he didn't forget about them, but he was learning from God what he needed to do, right? And all of a sudden, so now you have this other thing. You have the Hebrew children that are still in Egypt, right? They're under hard bondage, man. They've been over there now for, almost 80 something years, right? They've been over there in bondage and it's getting harder. And it says this king died and the next one that's come up, he's even being harder on them, man. They're losing more influence. They're being hammered. And it says, and they cried out to God. Now we can be the one that is Moses out there in the wilderness and being taught by God, or we may be the one today that is at the lowest point in our life and we're crying out to God. And it just brings tears to my eyes because I'm telling you, man, I know people are hurting. I know that we are in a hurting phase, and I know that there are people that are there crying out to God. Lord, hear groaning. They don't even know what they're saying. The Lord says that when we don't know what to pray, he hears our groans and he understands where we're at, and he can take care of even that, right? And it says these people are crying out to God and because of their bondage, and they cried out, and their cry came up to God because of their bondage. This is the turning point that Moses is going from being a shepherd of the sheep to beginning to be a shepherd to God's people. Okay. This is the point when the people that are over there in Egypt, they're understanding and they're learning that we can't do it on our own, man. This is only getting worse. And if we don't get out there and start to cry out to God and turn ourselves in, then this is where our life is going to be. I don't know where we're at right now, but the Lord, and we're going to talk about it next week. The Lord hears our cries. I'm telling you, the Lord, I don't care where you're at. I don't care how far, I take one step, turn around towards God. I could be walking years away from God. One step, and he's right there with his hand, reaching out, saying, Chad, I'm right here I never left you, man. I'm still right here beside you. All I want you to do is turn your gaze towards me. Look to me. I'm still here with you. How much love is that? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I'm telling you, I'm fired up. Pray for me as I get up there this morning and speak in front of the church, right? Just pray that the Lord would use me. But I'm praying for you guys, man. I'm excited, but we've got to end because I've got to get down there and do something. So anyway, I love y'all. I do. I'm praying for y'all. And we will see you next week. Nan, if you'll stop the recording on that.
Love you, Chad. Good luck.
Yeah, I love y'all. Thank you. And you guys be careful.
Chad, have a good day.
Yes, thank you. You guys too. Hey, we love y'all.